At 2:13 in the morning, Sarah heard her front door open. She lived alone. She had checked the locks before going to bed, twice. So when she heard the slow click of the deadbolt, followed by the sound of the door opening, she knew something was wrong. She stayed completely still under her blanket. Then came footsteps. Slow. Careful. Someone walked across her hallway. Sarah reached for her phone. No signal. Then the footsteps stopped directly outside her bedroom. For several seconds, there was absolute silence. And then, someone whispered her name. Not from the hallway, from inside her bedroom, part 1, the house. Sarah had moved into the house only 3 weeks earlier. It was an old 2-story home in a quiet suburban neighborhood. Nothing about the place seemed unusual. The previous owner had left most of the furniture behind. An old wooden table, a cracked mirror, several dusty boxes in the basement, and a small security camera mounted above the front door. Sarah assumed it was disconnected. She never bothered checking. During the first few weeks, everything seemed normal. She went to work, came home, made dinner, watched television, then went to bed. But there was one thing she noticed. Almost every morning, something in the house seemed slightly different. A kitchen cabinet would be open. A chair would be pulled away from the table. Once she found the basement door completely open. She blamed herself. Maybe she had forgotten. Maybe she was simply tired. Until one morning, she noticed something that couldn't be explained so easily. Her bathroom mirror had a message written across it. 3 words. "I saw you." Sarah froze. She immediately wiped the mirror clean. Then she checked every room. Nothing. No broken windows. No damaged locks. Nothing missing. She even called a friend and told him what happened. He laughed nervously and suggested that someone was playing a prank. Sarah wanted to believe him. That night, she checked every lock before going to sleep. Front door, back door, windows, basement. Everything was secure. At exactly 2:13 a.m., she heard the front door open. Part 2. The footsteps. Sarah woke instantly. For a moment, she couldn't understand what had awakened her. Then she heard it again, a soft creak. The sound came from downstairs. She reached for her phone and checked the time. 2:13 a.m. Her heart started racing. She listened carefully. Nothing. Then, one footstep, another. Someone was walking through the house. Sarah pulled the blanket over herself and tried to stay completely silent. She thought about calling the police, but when she looked at her phone, there was no signal. She tried again. Nothing. Then she remembered the security camera above the front door. If it was still working, maybe it had recorded whoever entered. She slowly got out of bed. But before she could reach the door, the footsteps stopped. Sarah stood completely still. A few seconds passed. Then she heard a soft, dragging sound coming from the hallway. Something was moving closer. She backed away from the door. The bedroom handle slowly moved downward. Sarah covered her mouth with her hand. The door opened just a few inches, then stopped. She could see the darkness of the hallway through the gap. No person, no shadow, nothing. She waited. 10 seconds, 20. Then the door slowly closed again. Sarah grabbed her phone. Suddenly her signal returned. She immediately called 911, but before the call connected, her phone vibrated. A notification appeared on the screen. It was from the security camera. Motion detected, front door. Sarah opened the camera feed. The footage showed her front porch. The timestamp read 2:13 a.m. The front door opened, but there was nobody outside. Sarah watched the footage again. The door opened by itself. Then she noticed something behind the glass. A dark figure was standing inside the house, behind the camera, watching the front door. Sarah slowly turned toward her bedroom door because she suddenly realized something. The camera wasn't showing who had entered the house. It was showing someone who had already been inside. Part 3. The Hidden Room. Sarah stood beside her bed, staring at the security footage. The figure was still there, motionless. Its face couldn't be seen, only a dark shape behind the camera. Sarah backed away from the screen. Then another notification appeared. Motion detected, upstairs hallway. Her blood ran cold. She hadn't moved, and there was nobody else upstairs. She slowly opened the live camera feed. The hallway was empty. Then the image flickered. For less than a second, something appeared at the end of the hallway. A pale face. Then nothing. Sarah grabbed her keys and ran toward the bedroom door. But before she could reach it, she heard a sound behind her. A quiet knock. From inside the wall. 3 knocks. Pause. 3 more. She stared at the wall. There was an old wooden wardrobe against it. She had never moved it. Now she noticed something strange. The wardrobe wasn't sitting flat against the wall. There was a narrow gap behind it. Sarah pushed it forward. Dust fell onto the floor. Behind the wardrobe was a small door. She had never seen it before. The door had no handle, only a small metal latch. Sarah pulled it open. Behind it was a narrow staircase leading downward. Her phone suddenly received a text message. No number, no name, just 4 words. You shouldn't have opened it. Sarah dropped the phone. Then she heard footsteps coming up the hidden stairs. Part 4, the recording. Sarah slammed the hidden door shut. She pushed the wardrobe back against it. Then she ran downstairs. The front door was still locked. The windows were closed. There was nowhere to go. She grabbed a kitchen knife and waited. Nothing happened. For several minutes, the house was completely silent. Then the security camera notification appeared again. Motion detected. Basement. Sarah looked toward the basement door. It was slowly opening. She didn't move. The door opened another few inches, then stopped. A small object slid across the floor from inside. It was an old cassette recorder. Sarah stared at it. She didn't remember seeing it before. She pressed play. At first there was only static. Then she heard a woman's voice, whispering. The voice sounded terrified. If you're hearing this... Sarah's breathing stopped. You found the room. There was a long pause. Then the woman continued. He doesn't come through the doors. Sarah looked toward the basement. He's already inside. The recording suddenly became distorted. Then came another voice, a man's voice, very close to the microphone. It whispered, "She's listening." The recording ended. Sarah dropped the recorder. Then she heard something behind her. A floorboard creaked. She slowly turned around. Nobody was there, but on the kitchen table was her phone. She had left it upstairs. Part 5, the truth. Sarah grabbed the phone. There was another message. This time it contained a photograph. It was a picture of Sarah sleeping, taken from inside her bedroom. She stared at the image. The photograph had been taken that night, but there was something worse. In the reflection of her bedroom mirror, a person could be seen standing behind her. Sarah zoomed in. The face was blurry, but the clothes were familiar. A dark jacket, work boots, and a silver watch. Sarah suddenly remembered something. 3 days earlier, she had found an old photograph inside one of the boxes left by the previous owner. The photograph showed a man standing in front of the house. He was wearing the exact same jacket and the same silver watch. She ran to the box. The photograph was still there. On the back, someone had written, Daniel, 1998. Sarah searched the house records online. The previous owner had been named Daniel, but Daniel had died almost 20 years earlier. Sarah stared at the photograph. Then she noticed something she hadn't seen before. Behind Daniel was the same hidden doorway, the same house, the same hallway, and standing beside him was a woman. Sarah recognized her immediately. It was the woman from the cassette recording. She had lived in the house before Daniel, and according to the property records, she had disappeared without a trace. Part 6. The last night. Sarah finally understood why the house had felt wrong. Someone had been living in the spaces between the rooms. The hidden staircase, the basement, the old camera, the strange messages. None of it had been random. She called the police again. This time the call went through. She told them everything. They promised to send officers immediately. Sarah locked herself inside the bathroom. She waited. 5 minutes. 10. Then headlights appeared outside. Police had arrived. Sarah ran downstairs. She opened the front door. 2 officers stood outside. She almost collapsed with relief. They entered the house and searched every room. Nothing. No intruder. No hidden person. No evidence. 1 officer followed Sarah upstairs. She showed him the hidden door. But when they moved the wardrobe, there was no door, only a solid wall. Sarah stared at it. That wasn't like that before. The officer looked at her, then asked, "Where did you say you found the recorder?" Sarah pointed toward the basement. They searched the basement. Nothing. The officers eventually left. Sarah was alone again. She barely slept that night. At 2:13 a.m., her phone vibrated. 1 final notification appeared. Security camera offline. Then another message arrived. 4 words. "Thank you for letting me in." Sarah looked toward the bedroom door. It was already open. Sarah left the house the next morning. She never went back. The property was eventually sold again. The new owners renovated almost everything. Walls were removed. The basement was rebuilt. and the old security system was thrown away. But months later, the police received an anonymous package. Inside was a small memory card. There was only one video on it. The footage came from Sarah's old security camera. The timestamp showed 2:13 a.m. on the night she left. The front door opened. Nobody entered. For almost 30 seconds, the hallway remained empty. Then the camera slowly turned toward the stairs. A man was standing there. He looked directly into the camera. His face was clear. It was Daniel, the previous owner, the man who had been dead for almost 20 years. He stood completely still. Then he smiled and whispered something toward the camera. Investigators enhanced the audio. There were only 5 words. She finally gave me a way out. The video ended, and according to the final report, the camera had been disconnected from the house months earlier, so nobody could explain how it recorded that night. And Sarah? She never spoke publicly about what happened. But one thing reportedly changed after she moved. Every night at exactly 2:13 a.m., her phone would briefly lose signal, and sometimes a notification would appear from a security camera she no longer owned. Motion detected. No image, no location, just those 2 words. Because whatever had been inside that house may never have needed the house at all.